So in the video that I put out last week, I said this. I shouldn't have to mention that the food looks good in an anime about food. Even simple things like cabbage. Because you know, no anime is allowed to animate cabbage badly anymore. Ever since that one time. I did one of those things where I made a reference to a thing, assuming that people would know what I was talking about, only to find out that no, not everyone will understand this reference from a mid-2000s anime, because I'm old, and very few people in my audience have actually watched it, let alone could understand what reference I was making. I get that most people thought it was an Avatar reference. It was not. That's a completely different reference. My cabbages! So today we're gonna rectify that, because things that happened in the past, somewhat important events that may or may not have an influence on the future, is good to know. So today is a story, one of many, as to why food in anime happens to look as good as it does. More specifically, why cabbage looks good in anime and is not allowed ever to look bad again. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Me. Introducing the official glass reflection Arkada plushie. Do you like watching YouTube content where a blonde Canadian explains his taste in anime that you may or may not agree with? Would you like to replicate that experience in your own home on your own shelf? Now you can! The first official glass reflection plush is available through our partnership on Makeship. This limited edition plushie is the perfect thing to adorn your shelf, to dispense facts and knowledge about the various things it might share shelf space with. But it shan't judge. No, it shan't judge. Because if one were to make the choice to purchase this limited edition plushie, it would be no different than the choices you made elsewhere on the shelf. It would be very impolite of him to speak badly about some of your choices when he would be one. Pledge to the campaign to have your very own Arkada plushie delivered right to your door. So thank you very much, me, for sponsoring this video. I'm half tempted just to do this for the remainder of the video, and then I would just look like an idiot. Not that that's any different than normal, let's be fair. Okay, but we're not here to talk about plushies, we're here to talk about cabbages. So, in the mid-2000s, there was an anime called Brighter Than the Dawning Blue, Crescent Love. The show itself is not necessarily important to our tale today, it is just a part of context. It was a fairly standard romance, sort of, not necessarily harem, but also sort of harem show from the time. The type of show that people who watched it really enjoyed it, and people who didn't probably didn't know about it until this. In episode 3 of Brighter Than the Dawning Blue, the characters are in a bit of a food competition, where at one point in time, two characters decide to start preparing part of a dish. And that included cutting a cabbage. Or did it? Those who watched the Japanese television release of the episode did not necessarily see a cabbage. They saw a green ball of goo that cut weirdly and behaved weirdly. But the characters said it was cabbage, so that's totally cabbage, right? Now look, we know historically anime has always been, or usually been, produced in less than ideal circumstances. Sometimes particular productions may cut corners in one place or another, but this is a tale where that just will not do. This particular moment, especially in internet culture in Japan, kind of took off as one of those examples of, is this the type of quality we can expect from our anime? And green ball is now cabbage. Why? Who knows? Now, because a lot of the initial reaction to this moment happened in Japan, and not a lot of what actually went on has ever been translated or is even possibly available right now, some of the legend behind this moment I haven't been able to confirm. Rumor has it that at a Bandai shareholder meeting, as Bandai was one of the companies supporting and sponsoring this particular program, at that shareholder meeting, they discussed the quality of the cabbage, as some were a little bit, put off by this product that they were helping promote and sponsor. And then the rumor has it that Bandai publicly apologized for the quality of cabbages in this episode and promised that such a thing would not happen in the remainder of the production. To their credit, when Brighter in the Dawning Blue did in fact go to DVD release, that scene was edited to include a much better animated cabbage, but the result of this moment has kind of been a ripple throughout the rest of the animation community, to the point where food in anime, anytime food is to be animated, the quality of the food is just almost expected now to be of such a phenomenal level. It is like, here's the moment that you go to your animators and say, flex for us, please. And they do. It has been a thing, especially since this moment, where food in anime is significantly better quality than, in some cases, the entire rest of the production. And also, very importantly, when cabbage is included, sometimes that is even better animated than the rest of the food. Now, some productions that immediately came out after this had differing responses to it. When Shaft was doing Hidamari's sketch and they were like, hey, we need to have cabbage in this, what are we going to do? Because Hidamari's sketch is very well known for having a super, super low budget. They're like, hey, let's just literally put in a photo of a cabbage. No one can complain about that, right? Then when Hayate the Combat Butler came along and did it, they just did it straight. They animated poor green goopy cabbage as part of the joke, and it worked amazingly for the time. There's my annual shout out to like Hayate the Combat Butler, go watch it. But then in the video that I was talking about last week with Restaurant to Another World, there was an episode dedicated to cabbage, and the freaking cabbage looks great. It just does. Cabbage is not allowed to look bad. Food in anime in general is not allowed to look bad, but cabbage, very specifically, is not allowed to look bad. Why? Because of that one time it looked bad and everyone hated it. No one wants a repeat of that, ever. No one wants to be like, hey, we were warned. We have an example of where we screwed up cabbage, and we cannot let that happen again. For a lot of animators, I do feel like what they do is considered to be a craft. They're not just animators, and for a lot of them, they are craftsmen. So to have something be kind of the new mark of quality, they're going to follow through with that from now on. It may not be the one and only reason as to why food in anime is absolutely amazing, but it is most certainly a contributing factor, and that is why I referenced it in the video. So now you know. Makes me wonder if I'm gonna have to do these like little short explanation things for every reference I do, because like I am, if nothing but a ball of bad puns and reference humor. And if my references don't make sense, then I gotta explain it, especially when it is so interesting to know about, really. So if you watched that video, thank you very much for watching that video, by the way. I thought it was a pretty good video talking about isekai and how that's been changing over the last couple of seasons. Go watch Restaurant to Another World. That video may have been sponsored by Crunchyroll. This one is not, and that's why I'm still telling you to go watch Restaurant to Another World, just in case you thought that I was being paid off. I legitimately want you to watch that show. And everything else on that list, to be honest, I wouldn't put it in a video if I didn't want you to watch it. I'm not gonna tell you to go watch something because someone sponsored the video. I'll just tell them no and not make the video. That's why all future videos will be sponsored by me. Hello! I am now the de facto sponsor on every video of this channel. Seriously though, buy me. I'm cute. Kawaii desu ne. So thank you very much for watching the video, and also thank you to our patrons who support our videos and allow me to continue to do what I do, even if it's this small little explanation thing. Your names have been scrolling right here, and I absolutely love and appreciate you all. Specifically though, as I want to do, I'd like to give special thanks to patrons Hector Montemayor, Ryfen Bonaparte, Omar Showman, City Yamako, and Wago221 for being especially awesome. You guys are great. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.